Good morning, seventh grade. So today we are going to be discussing the elements of storytelling, and I will have these slides available in lessons so you can check them out and take notes off of them. So we're also going to discuss the Zoom authentication. This needs to happen this week. You should have a link, or your parents should have a link in their email that came from the district, okay? So you should be taking notes on these. I'm going to breeze through them really quickly in this video, but then you can get the slides in um, Otis and you can finish your notes on there, okay? So the objective here is to understand the basic elements of storytelling, and as usual, if it's underlined, you put it in your notes. If it's not, it's up to you. You'll need a notebook and a pencil. In order to set up your notebook, I'm going to have you do it like this. So you'll need to set up 3 columns. You can use boxes or not, it's up to you. But 3 columns, one for the key term and another for the definition, and the last one will be for the examples that you come up with. So these are the basic elements that we're going to be discussing: character, protagonist, antagonist, conflict, plot, setting, point of view, dialogue, and theme. We will touch on each of those briefly. In your notes, I want you to think of the favorite story that you have. So if you love Star Wars, then you're going to use Star Wars as your example throughout this process, okay? So character is the first thing we're going to talk about. This is the people in a story. They can also be animals or objects. And there are 2 types of main characters. These are protagonists and antagonists. And each character has a unique personality and role in the story. And for my examples, I'm going to pull from The Wizard of Oz, not because I love it, but because it's sort of a prototypical story that has all of these elements. So the people in there are obviously Dorothy, the wizard, Glinda. There are animals and objects that serve as characters also. So the protagonist is the main character of the story. It's about their journey. Usually you root for the protagonist and you want them to succeed. They're usually the good guy. Not always. Every once in a while they are not. The main character, the protagonist in Wizard of Oz, is Dorothy. The antagonist is the next main character. They are usually the enemy, the antithesis of the main character, the protagonist. They cause problems, they get in the way. They're often the whole cause of the conflict in the story. Usually they're the bad guy, okay? So this is like the Wicked Witch of the West. This video I will have available for you in Otis as well, but I'm not going to show it in this particular video. The conflict is a problem that the characters have to solve, or an obstacle that characters have to overcome. This is usually what drives the whole story. So the conflict in The Wizard of Oz is that Dorothy is stuck in Oz. She wants to go home to Kansas, but guess what? There's a witch after her, which is, if I had a dime for every time I wanted to go somewhere, but there was a witch preventing me, man. Plot is the next key term. It's the main series of events in the story. It's usually divided into scenes and chapters and episodes, and it includes several steps, which are introduction, catalyst, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. We'll talk about each of these in more depth at a later date. The setting is basically the way things are at the beginning of the story. It's the time and the place that a story happens. So the setting for The Wizard of Oz is that Dorothy lives on a farm in Kansas. She visits a place called Oz. Okay, that's the setting. The point of view is who is telling the story and what is their perspective. So there are several different kinds of point of view. First person is when the narrator is a character in the book, and the whole story is told from their perspective, like, I want to go home to Kansas. Second person is very rarely used, but it's when you're speaking directly to the reader. like you need to visit the wizard. Third person is more common, and this is where the narrator is not a part of the story, they're just telling the story. Like Dorothy walked along the yellow brick road. She met many friends along the way. And then there are a couple of different kinds of third person narrators, but we won't go into that too deeply yet, okay? Dialogue is conversation between two or more characters. They're the words that characters say, okay? And then there's the theme. Usually the theme is a pattern in the story that delivers a message or a main idea or a belief. And it's an observation from the author about real life and humanity and how we are as people. It's sort of like the moral of the story. And that is the end of these slides. So again, you will find the video that I skipped over in Otis. Please take notes on these. If you want to watch this video again, you can pause it when you need to get your notes. And I will see you tomorrow.